Welcome to the Stress-Free Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Block. As always, I want to inspire, entertain, and educate you on the best tools and technologies out there. My goal is to help make your practice and career more profitable, efficient, and most importantly, more enjoyable. And check out all of my nonfiction and children's books on Amazon, and check out the stressfreedentist.com for any upcoming events. And if you're feeling you're a dental professional that's burnt out, or you just feel stuck or want to get to that next level, visit the International Academy of Dental Life Coaches, or www.iadlc.com, and we'll get you matched up with a life coach that understands dentistry. I also wanted to thank our amazing sponsor, Equa Marketing. They have helped me and my practice over the years to improve with SEO and website performance. And to find out how you can make your practice dominate in your area, go to www.equa.com/MSMSFD to book your complimentary meeting. Again, that's www.ekwa.com/MSMSFD. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode. And today I'm joined by John Tointigh and Kayla Davis of Your Health Matters. John and Kayla, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, on a happy Friday.
It's Friday. Usually these come out on Tuesdays, but it's Friday, so we'll enjoy that. And let's hear all about Your Health Matters, which sounds like an amazing marketing strategy for dentists. But first, John and Kayla, how'd you even get involved with helping dentists?
Well, for me, I've been in advertising for almost 17 years now, I think, or maybe a little bit more than that. And it kind of got started. I was actually the marketing director for an ophthalmologist, and it was my job to find new patients and kind of play with the advertising dollars, and kind of found a pretty good way to get, eyeballs on TV sets and, the phones ringing. And I got recruited away from that office to go to other places. And so I thought, well, why do that? I'll make an agency and I'll make myself available to everyone. And just eventually kind of bled into dentistry because advertising for a medical practice was something that I kind of became good at. And it just kind of, put me in that wheelhouse ever since.
And Kayla?
Yeah, I was just going to tag on there. My grandpa's a dentist. He grew up in a smaller area of Missouri where people would pay for dentist practice with bringing eggs from their chicken from their farm. So he never turned anyone away. He was super passionate about it. And so I think that's my tie to why I really care about dentists and their passions. And then also, I was a news anchor and reporter, and I decided I wanted a more stable, 9-to-5 life job. And so I then left the news industry. I was for a local Fox and NBC affiliate, and I left for healthcare marketing. So then I met John, and it kind of just came together.
So you were actually an anchor reporter on the local news?
I was, yeah. So I was in Northwest Arkansas, so based out of Fayetteville, and I was out in the field, a reporter. So I might be talking about homicides or tornadoes. And then I also was an anchor. So a lot of times on weekday mornings, so people would wake up with me and we would bring them the news they needed that day. And I loved it. I love telling stories. I love meeting people and digging into why they love what they do. But I didn't necessarily love the crazy hours, and I wanted something a little more stable. I wanted to get married and have kids one day. And so I thought, okay, what can I do that I can still be a storyteller and let people know what's happening in their community, but also find another niche, and that has been in healthcare.
A question for you, because you seem extremely comfortable in front of the camera, and I was terrified of public speaking when I first got out of school. Do you have tips for dentists that are speaking in front of their team in a meeting or in front of patients? What kind of tips do you have for public speaking?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just to realize that you're a human. Everyone in that room is also human, and we're prone to mistakes. So I think a lot of times doctors, they're just perfectionists, and they should be. They studied a long time. They have to get things right every day. But sometimes when we're speaking, we mess up a little bit or say things not perfectly, and that's okay, because the way you connect with someone is just being your authentic self. And so when you're about to present to someone or you're about to have this meeting, just find a way that you can bring your personality into that meeting. You can be yourself. You can take a deep breath, because it's not all about being perfect and having the exact right answers all the time. And I think a lot of people understand that.
That's great. You said everyone is human. My wife says I'm robotic and I have no emotion, so she may disagree. John, back to just before we get more into Your Health Matters, you used to do marketing for ophthalmology. Was there any similarities there between ophthalmology and dentistry? Because I know there's some elective procedures like LASIK, whereas in dentistry we have veneers and clear aligners.
Yeah, the similarities are, I mean, obviously, when I was getting started, LASIK was getting to be a big thing. And the reason why it was big is because you could go and have a surgery done. They create a flap and they do the surgery, lay it back down, and immediately you have the results. Whereas some of the older technology was a PRK or keratectomy. There were some older procedures that were still very stable and, that were not as, fast to get you to your ideal vision. But there are also people, as you know, in dentistry, they come in, sit down in the chair and like, you might not have the bone density for us to do implants. You might have to go find another route. So those similarities are there, just as far as like what other procedures are available to people. They might come in for one thing and just be a better candidate for something else that's going to be better for them in the long term. But as far as being in front of the camera and advertising, kind of to piggyback off what Kayla was saying, is we try and, you're talking about something that you're very familiar with, well versed on. Obviously, it's important because you enjoy helping people. And so, we always try to make the dentist, someone in front of the camera that people can connect with. The neighbor that lives next door, you guys are going to go play golf together pretty soon, because people will see dentists, lawyers, other doctors as, these folks are up here and I work a 9 to 5 and I'm kind of a down here person. So we try and make this guy look like, hey, this guy's just like everybody else. I really like that guy. I want to go give that guy a shot, see if he can be the one to fix my smile. And so just bringing it down and making them somebody that people like, because people like doing business with people that they like. And that's what we try and convey on screen for the docs.
And what exactly is Your Health Matters?
Yeah, so Your Health Matters is simply an infomercial that is disguised as a lifestyle TV show. And so if you think about a TV show like Dirty Jobs, Micro goes in, they have their intro that says, hey, you talk about these different jobs that, you're not aware of, or people work really hard, they get really dirty. Well, today we're on location at, let's say for Oklahoma standards, like we're on an oil site today. We're going to visit with Bob, who is a pad foreman at a drill site. Why is this so important? And he takes you around to different parts of the drilling location. And at the end of it, you're like, wow, that was really interesting. I didn't know that so much went into exploration. I didn't know so much went into implant dentistry. This is a lot easier than I thought. And so that's the goal, is that we're continuously changing the scenery. We're keeping control of the story, making sure it's following the path. We're not getting off tangent, and you can still fill in with those anecdotal stories and B-roll footage, befores and afters and things like that.
So this is a show that is essentially like interviewing the dentist, maybe taking a tour of their office and hearing about what they do, so that potential patients can get to know, like, and trust them.
100%. There are other infomercials that are out there done by other companies. You travel to their location, you might sit at like a news type desk, or you might sit at in a couch, kind of like a talk show location. And it's just storytelling for 30 minutes. And for me, I thought, like, this kind of gets old and boring in a hurry, and people know that this is an infomercial almost immediately. But what we've decided to do is, we found a way that, hey, we can take our crew to a location. The doc can show off their office, their technology. If they've got some rock star employees that everybody loves, that they want to be a part of it. This is a really malleable format. So it doesn't even have to be implants necessarily. It can be just about anything. If we want to, showcase, our new 3D printers, and, how that is going to benefit the patient, and things are faster and easier and better. And so that's what we try and do with Your Health Matters.
Kayla, I think I cut you off before you were about to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that it's exciting to get to go to people's practice and show it off. And it's also makes for a much more comfortable environment for many doctors and dentists, because they get to be in their home where they know the layout, they know what they want to talk about. And so I think that was just the point I wanted to touch on, because we get to really show people where they'll go, walk them through a new patient process. And with someone like me, who I'm not a dentist, so I'm asking real questions that people would really want to know the answers to in layman's terms. And I think it is a really neat idea that John came up with by disguising it as a lifestyle TV show, because you might be flipping through the channels trying not to watch some boring infomercial, but when you get to this, it's this guy with the morning TV show. It's fun to watch. It's fast paced. It keeps your attention, and it's effective.
Now, can this be for a dentist? Let's say they're just opening up their office, or they just started a new treatment modality like sleep and airway or clear aligners, or could it just be, I'm just here to let the public know that I'm a dentist and I'm accepting new patients? Is it all of the above?
I think all the above.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
We want to ask you, what do you want to show off? What's the message you want to convey to people in your area? And that's how we'll structure the show and format the questions.
Now, what if I am absolutely terrified of the camera? How do you work with someone that's introverted, that doesn't like, I'm talking about myself. Like I have a podcast, I do webinars, but at first I couldn't stand looking at myself or hearing my voice. And I was terrified in front of, speaking to other people on the camera. Could you work with someone like me?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. You just got to match Kayla's energy, and she has an amazing attribute of being able to pull that out of people. She's obviously very excited, and it's going to naturally just make you excited. And the good news is, you're talking about something you're already completely familiar with, so we're not catching you off guard with anything. And you're talking with Kayla as if she's a potential new patient, and you obviously have a passion for people and improving their health overall. And so it's really simple to pull the information out, at least from our end. And the good news is, we have the power of editing. So if something doesn't come off maybe the way that you want, or I'll be on the sidelines listening in, and you might cover a point that I think is amazing. And like, whoa, let's back up and ask that question again. But I love the fact that you mentioned how implants can actually improve your overall health, because now you can eat foods that are good for you that maybe you couldn't have had before, steak, or steamed broccoli or something like that. And so now that you're eating things that that you actually enjoy, rather than a chalky protein shake, you feel better about yourself overall. So things like that come out in the conversation, and so we can stop and like, hey, let's do that again.
Yeah, I think the key of not being live is so important, that we can always re-say things. We can pause. We can feed you lines if that's what you really need in that moment. And so that way your vision of what the message should be gets out how you would like it. And I think it also just comes down to trust, and trusting us that we want you to look good. We want you to sound good. We want you to really show off your stuff. So you have to get to know us, which is throughout this whole process, we'll make sure that you do get to know us and you do trust us. So when we're sitting there and we're having these conversations, because it is just a conversation, right? They're not talking directly to a camera, performing. It's not performative. They're just talking to me and feeding off my energy and my questions. And you'll get to know us really well throughout the day. It's a really fun environment. Our team has such a fun dynamic. It's not stuffy. Yes, there's bright lights and cameras, but overall, it is just a fun day of shooting. And I think that'll just bring out the comfortability in you too.
Now, I'm no Daniel Day-Lewis. I would need like a teleprompter and scripts. Do you help dentists with all that too?
Well, we have a prompter if that's what you really need.
Yeah.
But I think like most people can answer questions about their practice and just like look at me, you're talking to me and we're having a conversation. And if something comes out in a way that you don't like, we'll just do it again and whatever you need.
Now,
and for the listeners out there, I was gonna say, for the listeners out there that are kind of wondering how this comes together. I mean, it's really pretty simple. Kayla comes in, introduces herself, introduces the doc to the camera, and they sit down and just kind of basically find out their why behind their what. Why did you become a dentist? We have one client that he was in a bad motorcycle accident and pretty much just blew out all of his front teeth, had to have a lot of work done, and just became fascinated. And it was hard for him at that point in his young life. And he was like, you know what? I don't want people to go through what I've gone through. So I'm going to be here to make sure that people are comfortable. They're not in pain. I'm going to make sure that they're not afraid. They don't have to be afraid. He's like, that's what I really want for people. That was his why behind his what. And then after that, we like, well, what's the process here? So we put Kayla in a chair. They had a digital scanner, ran her through that, showed her scans, went to the 3D printing room in the lab, checked that out. I mean, it's just from place to place to place to place. These are all things the doc is very excited about sharing with people. And so it really does come off pretty natural.
Here's a blocky tip. What I like to do anytime I even do this with some new patients or reps or anyone that's coming to my office, I like to give them a tour. And I've done this tour probably 200 times. So I've just gotten really good at pointing out different parts of my office that I'm excited about. So it's just really helped me. And just doing it over and over and practicing has been really helpful for me. Now, this is video marketing. Where does this content go, do you recommend? Does it go to the website? Does it go on TV commercials? Is there radio? Can I get it up on before the trailers of a movie theater? Like, where does it go?
Well, all of those are a yes. Now, I mean, we can produce a 60-second version of the show, basically, if you wanted to put it up as a commercial. But primarily the design of this, because the way that some of these infomercials are utilized, they go on broadcast television. And there are two ways to get on there. One is if you come in the middle of a cycle, because these are bid upon and they don't always sell out. So we'll find the best possible place if we're in the middle of a cycle. And if they come up for auction again, well, you can bid on better times and places for those to air. And so that's one place that they can go. But then also, yes, you can put it on your website or social media. And we even have the ability to maybe even take clips of it and put it out in other areas. So at least they're getting a more condensed version rather than the 30-minute spot together.
And now, how important would you say is video compared to other formats of marketing, such as billboards or print or radio?
It's night and day. Yeah. It's obviously night and day. I mean, it gives the doc the opportunity to introduce themselves to the viewership and make those people go, man, I really like that person. I want to go check them out. Kayla obviously has a myriad of other reasons why.
Yeah, I love it because I think it really fosters a sense of community with people and trust. And I think a lot of people making healthcare decisions need to be hit on the emotional side of things, especially a cosmetic type of procedure. They want to know, how is this going to improve my overall life? And the only way sometimes to really dive deep and show that beyond just a pretty picture of a facility that's on a billboard or a newspaper ad is video, because you get to really share your story. I also think we live in a world where so much is competing for your attention. You're watching TV while you're reading the newspaper, you're listening to a podcast while you're driving and you see a billboard. Video, though, has the ability to make people stop and listen and really get a picture of what you're trying to sell to them. And there's a lot of statistics out there. I think one that I really like is that 80% of consumers say that video ended up being the deciding factor when they chose to either invest or buy a product. I think that just all goes back to that trust that it builds with people and the sense of community. Like, these are doctors in their community that, yes, they're on TV, so they must be the expert, but also they're like a real person who would actually care about me and my well-being. And I think video just plays really well in our fast-paced environment.
John, can you play an example of a quick video?
Yeah, so I've got a video queued up here on one of my other screens. I'm going to look away for a second. This is actually going to be the 60-second trailer that we've created. It's up on our YouTube page, and right next to it is the 30-minute version. But this is the 60-second trailer that you'll hear.
In today's episode, we're going to show you how you can achieve the smile of your dreams, because your health matters.
Dental implants are basically the state-of-the-art way of tooth replacement. A lot of people can benefit from dental implants.
After the procedure here today, they've got this beautiful, bright smile. How does that help their overall health?
There have been lots of studies that we've had showing the link between infections in the mouth and possible heart infections.
From extra scanners to 3D printers, we are in the technology hub right here.
This would actually be at the beginning of the process. This is going to take a bunch of very fancy pictures of your teeth. This is much more comfortable and even much more accurate than most impressions. This is your digital scan, and this 3D printer would start 3D printing exactly what's in your hand there.
I'm just blown away by how simple and fast and painless the dental implant process can be.
So you kind of, if you can't see the video, you kind of get the idea of they're in different parts of this practice, dealing with all the different pieces of technology that go into the process. And this was one of our dental implants, obviously, if the listeners didn't figure that part out. So Dr. Perryman, who's in that video, has never been in front of the camera before that day. And I think that's important to point out, because, you've asked, a couple of different questions about what's it going to be like if I've never been in front of the camera before, if I just don't really like the way I've come off in video. And we took somebody who had never done it at all, ever. And, he did a great job. Really enjoyed. We had a great time with him.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, someone, if they're looking and they're Googling for a dentist, they're going to search your reviews, they're going to look at your website, and if you are popping up with videos, then most likely that person is going to feel like you're the dentist for them, because they've seen your face, they've heard you talk, maybe they've seen your office, and pick up the phone and actually call to become a new patient. That's what it's all about. All right, 2 final questions for John and Kayla. How do we find out more? And then the last question would be, what advice would you give to the young dentists out there?
Okay. The advice I would probably give to the young dentists out there, obviously you go to dental school, and not a lot of business schooling goes into that. So you open a practice and you're, drinking water from a fire hydrant at that point, because you're now the HR department, payroll department, insurance, and the marketing expert, and you've got all these things going off at once. And so I would say, don't be afraid to ask for help. There are a lot of people out there that are good at what they do and have a lot of expertise in whatever it is that you might need. It doesn't mean you have to use them forever, but they at least can help get you pointed into the right direction. So always talk to as many people as you can, though, just to make sure that you're going to be a good fit for one another. Just like you're interviewing them, they're probably interviewing you as well for the same reasons. So that would be some advice that I would have for young dentists getting into it is, if you think you might need some help in it, go ahead and ask for some, and talk to lots of folks before you settle on the person that's going to be best for you.
All right. And how do we find out more about Your Health Matters?
Easy. You can go to our website, yourhealthmatters.tv, and all the information about us should be on there. And I'll also add that the only thing that's not on there, obviously, is the cost, because that varies, because the way that we are different and we do travel physically to your practice, depending on where travel is, can affect the costs one way or the other. But I'll also say, because you are the deal for dentist guy, if somebody gives us a call off of our website, my cell phone number is on there. So you'll call me directly. And if they say that, hey, I heard about you from Dr. Block, then I'll give you 2 30-second commercials that you can add to social media or a broadcast element if that's a place that you want to put it. That's probably a $3,100 worth of video editing that I'll just throw in there.
And someone can call you at 3 a.m. That's fine.
Go for it. I won't answer, but I don't know. I might be up, knowing me.
Yeah. You're watching reruns of the 2004 Red Sox World Series win. I know what you're up to. Awesome. This was great. John and Kayla, thank you so much for joining us. Such a great episode. Thanks again for listening to the Stress Free Dentist podcast. And don't hesitate to get in touch with me at info@thestressfreedentist.com. And if you haven't already, please subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Until the next episode, I'm Dr. Eric Block, the Stress Free Dentist.